Welcome back to The Christian View, where we're talking about crimes and punishments. Back in 2008, as most of you know, or you watching at home know, my son was tried for murder. And back in 2008, trying every way in the world to exonerate my son, I ran across the law in 2008, and it was Stand Your Ground. And it was used in my son's case, but even the attorney said, this is not going to help us, Jackie. If this is all you got, we're in big trouble. But you know what? It's okay, because I will always say, I will say right now, when God stood his ground, it made all the difference in the world. But Lucy McBath, her son was gunned down in Florida in 2012, her one and only son, over loud music. His loud music, it's just unbelievable. Still in shock over something like that. But anyway, Lucy has been through it, and she's gonna discuss this Stand Your Ground law with us a little bit here today. But let's just talk about our thoughts first on Stand Your Ground. Well, what are your thoughts?
The definition of Stand Your Ground law is that it gives the right to use deadly force without duty to retreat when faced with a perceived threat. And I ran across a great article that both of you were quoted in, and I just wanted to make reference to that just to kind of set up our conversation here. But Lucy, you said Stand Your Ground can be used critically in the wrong way, or it can be used in a good way. And then Jackie, you said something very profound about the movie that you did, Stand Your Ground, that, you know, the movie actually, Stand Your Ground, is about God's gift of hope, and that you were praying for Lucy and her loss, and there's some things I'm sure you'll share about that in a minute. And you said it doesn't matter what side of the law you're on, God is on both sides.
Amen. That's
so
good.
That's
very good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's good.
And particularly in our case, and for those of you that may not know, I was actually in a movie.
This is even more profound.
Even more profound. I was in this Stand Your Ground movie based upon Jackie's life, and I was cast in that as the mother of the young man who was shot and killed in the movie based upon the Stand Your Ground law. And little did I know that within 6 months that my art would be, my life would be imitating my art.
I still say God was preparing your heart.
Absolutely, he was. So you're absolutely right, you know, on both sides of the law, whether it's, you know, God is in the middle of it, particularly because in my case, Stand Your Ground was the actual case law that was used. The gentleman that decided that the boys, my son and his friends, were playing loud music too loudly, he called it thug music. He had already profiled the children and decided that they were thugs. So in his mindset, he said or believed that he was threatened. And so knowing that, particularly in the state of Florida, that the Stand Your Ground law is so open to, you know, anyone's kind of conjecture, you know, he decided for himself that he was threatened by the children and their music, and he, you know, decided to use his gun to silence them, so to speak. And so even though particularly we did not have a Stand Your Ground hearing, the Stand Your Ground legislation and law did play into our case, because that's in the jury instructions when the jurors go back to deliberate over the case. And so the problem with the law, though, and it does work when it's used properly, but the problem with the law is that it's based upon an individual's perception of a threat. The laws are loose, the Stand Your Ground laws are loose. We have in our country the basic self-defense laws, which every state has. And everyone has a right to protect themselves within their territory, their home. But the Stand Your Ground laws, they liquidate that law. They take out the duty to retreat. For example, if you believe or perceive that I have looked at you wrong, then you feel threatened. If we're in an open carry state and you can carry your guns openly on the street, you can pull out your gun and say, I feel threatened, and you shoot me, and without any means of even trying to back down from the conflict.
You know, I agree, Lucy. I think the law, obviously, and I appreciate all that you do to advocate for a clear,
around the world,
you know, understanding of a law that will work, or an interpretation of this law that will work. But our crime violent crime is on the rise in our society today. And I carry a gun, you know, and I have a concealed weapons permit, because I do have fear, you know, as a woman alone in downtown city. And so Would I, if someone was playing their music too loud? Absolutely
Move your
not.
car.
No,
My goodness, move your car.
But I do fear that person coming up and pulling a switchblade on me or pulling a gun or something.
That's different.
And I will, I want to be prepared.
Well, and I'd like to ask you this: if the law was you could not carry a concealed weapon somewhere at a particular place,
right?
Would you do it anyway?
Possibly. Possibly.
Yeah.
If I felt threatened or I was going into an environment where I felt threatened, I would very likely carry my gun anyway. Because I've wondered that about national parks. I do a lot of hiking.
Yeah.
And so I've often wondered about that. And so many hikers are attacked.
Yeah.
We've seen
I
that
read
quite often.
an article in Texas. A guy took a gun into a bar, and the bar is against the law, but he was a registered gun holder. And he went to the bar and he shot 2 of the four robbers that robbed the bar, and people consider him a hero.
But he saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, but the problem I have with it is he a vigilante? Because that's the problem with the gun laws. Everybody is not competent to carry a gun. Even our police officers have to go through psychological evaluations and testing before they carry a gun. I mean, some people have such quick tempers. I mean, I know people right now, they don't need a gun. Because they think later, they snap first, and they think later. At the cost of a life, I don't think that,
So where do you draw the line? Where do we come to terms on
God
this?
draws the line by saying, stand your ground as good as the law may be or may not be. It is man's law.
Right.
God's law is thou shalt not murder.
Right.
And murder
That's
affects
good.
generations, and there's no way around it. And he said, if somebody tries to take your cloak, give them your tunic, or vice versa. And another example was when, Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane. Peter cut off the soldier's ear, and what did he do? He put it back on. And so, but I'm like every good American. I'm gonna defend my children, my home. I'm gonna probably stand my ground.
And in the country, statistics are showing, and in my organization, EveryTown for Gun Safety, I mean, we are a grassroots bipartisan organization. So we have gun owners, we have gun enthusiasts, we have hunters, we have people from all sides of the equation that come together for better gun safety in the country. And statistics are showing that 86 Americans every single day in this country are murdered due to guns, and that's including children and teens. And there was a study done with Texas A&M University in 2012, and basically they concluded that justifiable homicides had gone up 700 cases since these laws have been enacted. So there have to be some changes made.
Thank you so much. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good.